Yo guys, welcome to The Last Lap. Don't forget to drop a lovely, juicy 5-star rating if you're watching on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Hope you enjoy, and let's get into it. Been some rumours. I was reading an article this morning, I think German media saying that F1 are pushing already for Mohammed Ben Sulayem to be replaced, which obviously he's in charge of the FIA. Yeah. The F1, but obviously F1, I guess, have some pressure that they can exert on that situation. Yeah. I mean, it's certainly not been considering for particularly the last couple of seasons, the amount of eyeballs that's been on the FIA and Formula One from we should be focusing on the sport, on the racing cars, and so much of the focus has been off track. It's, MBS is walked into this job and there's been a lot of stuff that's gone on. Do we think he will make it? Do we think he's going to still be in this job this time in, I don't know, a year?
To do another drunk
Because it's a 4-year tenure you get when you're elected by the FIA to lead. Do we think he'll still be there?
Honestly, so before, I'll give you a little story. Before the World Cup started, Netflix released the FIFA documentary, and it's, for anyone who hasn't watched it, it's really good, whether you're into football or not. Just about how corrupt and powerful the FIFA are, and the similarities with the FIA were incredible. I was like, I just cannot wait for someone to whistleblow this whole organisation. And he kind of reminds me of Sepp Blatter in that I think he's going to stay for the next 2 or 3 years. And because I just don't think, unless within the FIA they move to remove him, then I don't think he's going anywhere. And I think he's keeping enough people within the FIA happy. I think that relationship between F1 and the FIA is always going to be fractious, but for F1 to break away and do their own series, at this moment in time, they're trying to sell the series. So I don't think they can sell it as a product without the FIA. So they need the FIA as much as F1 needs, the FIA needs F1. So it's a toxic relationship. I don't, as much as I would like to see a change in the head of the FIA, I don't think it's going to happen. And I think when you see stories like that, it's like, transfer news. When like agents leak stuff to the press, like, we're Arsenal after this player. Like, well, they're not.
They're not. They just want to see how the public reacts or get other people involved.
Yeah, it's all PR. It's all smoke and mirrors. But I think it's an interesting backdrop to the rest of the season because, sure as poo, the FIA are going to mess up again. I'm trying my best not to swear.
That you can swear as much as you like on
it. Oh, cool. Sure as shit they're going to fuck.
Jean Todt kind of reminded me of the Sepp Blatter character. That's probably inflammatory, actually, because he was corrupt. So allegedly, but...
I mean, even like Max Mosley, you go back, far enough that there's plenty of there's examples of, I think whoever's been in charge of the FIA, the idea is, go on.
We could do the documentary, bro.
Do you reckon?
Let's just find a source in the FIA, and we will whistleblow.
We'll whistleblow. I could just be a fake whistleblower. I'll just be like, I used to work there. We were shredding documents after AD21. Like, it's fine. Who needs to fact check?
Just have a 1 second overlay. This is all work of fiction.
Yeah. Not based on a true story.
No, not at all. But that's the thing. I think whoever's been in charge of the FIA, they've always kind of, whether it's out of their own choice or just because of the job, has had to be quite public facing and front forward. But it's been I guess ultimately it's given us something to talk about as well, all of the infight in between F1 and the FIA. We've talked on the show before about the idea of the F1 diverging from the FIA, but ultimately the FIA own F1, they're just leasing it out. Yeah. To Liberty Media to run, so they would have to go off and go full Super League, which would be what would they call it? Well, what are we going to say the alternative?
God,
it depends. Like if they're like
one formula, one race. I don't know. But yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know. Like if like they're American, it'll be like the Super World Motorsport Championship. Like I don't know, something along those lines. It would be something like so bombastic and so incredible. But I mean, look, the thing is with the FIA, like they've been sticking. Well, Mohammed's been sticking his foot in his mouth for the best part of a year now. Like you can probably count. You've got the jewelry gate. You've got this stuff coming out, that he said in the past about women. You've got the FIA gagging orders on protests. Like, I actually haven't seen one positive news story about this guy since he came in. So it will be tough for, like, again, in terms of their relationship. Like, it really does feel like, I think this is just something we're going to have to get used to. He's completely different to Jean Todt. He's very much, he wants to be media facing. He wants to, I guess, make his mark, put a stamp on these things. But, it's pretty much at odds with the way Formula One's going. Look at Formula One now. We've got younger audiences. We've got more politically active audiences. We've got more diverse audiences. And it feels like the FIA at the moment are kind of at odds with that.
Yeah. Well, actually, because there's been Valtteri, even Helmut Marko as well. Both have been quoted kind of not happy with this FIA, which is beyond Formula One.
Yeah.
The whole stance around drivers need pre-approval on any personal or political statements, but then what do you define as personal or political?
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Like,
what do you what do you approve and not approve?
That's what I mean. Because it's almost like, the way I see it is that by taking a stance, it kind of forces the FIA to actually, that they're almost shooting themselves in the foot. Because if they actually want to truly be neutral, they should just let the drivers kind of do what they want to do and say what they want to say.
Because then they don't have to take any responsibility as well. They can just go, well, it's the drivers.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're actively being like, oh, well, we're going to like filter through.
Because say you're two drivers and I'm the FIA and I'm like, well, you can say your thing, but you can't say your thing. But then I'm taking a stance ultimately.
Yeah, it really is. It's just open. Again, the thing is, it could be so simple. They could just welcome these things and let people do that and, have the publicity. And in all honesty, it's almost like the FIA, want to be front and center in front of Formula One, when really the FIA are supposed to be like a governing body, kind of like FIFA. Like, when people think of the World Cup, yes, it says the FIFA World Cup, but you think of the teams, you think of the players, and that's how the FIA should be. But it's almost like they want to make all the headlines, they want to control the drivers, they want to. They want to think about the brand, but the brand Formula One has grown exponentially since 2016, since Liberty took over. The audiences are bigger than they've ever been. They're making more money than they've ever made. I don't understand how any of this is detrimental to the FIA's branding or image, other than them probably disagreeing with the political stances that are being taken. And then, like you say, that is, in effect, taking a political stance.
Yeah, because, you say that about the sport growing. I think Forbes, they were saying that, so Liberty, I believe they bought F1 for about 4.5 billion. Forbes have said, and I don't know whether this is based off that kind of the potential Saudi looking to buy for 20 billion, but Forbes have said it's about 17 billion. So that's already like a 4x.
4x,
or 4-ish times
on their the sport has grown.
Investment.
Yeah, which given where the sport was in 2017 and how much more wide commercially appealing it is now, those numbers don't massively surprise me. That sounds about right to me.
You have to remember where the sport has come from. We couldn't even get highlights on YouTube.
No,
in the Bernie
literally
era. It was literally.
It was like 2017 they started doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Mate,
right?
When I'm researching videos, I'm glad I've got F1 TV now, because I can't find highlights, proper highlights of any videos of any races pre 2017.
Yeah, it's impossible.
They're not on YouTube.
So it's almost like the sport, from where they took it over, it could only have gone up with the social media. And Drive to Survive seems to have obviously been an incredible thing for them. But it can only get bigger. We talk all the time, right? Look at us now. Something like this would have been impossible to imagine 4 or 5 years ago, even 2-3 years ago. It would have been impossible to imagine the breadth of content creators out there and the level of content creation. You have to remember, football content creation, it's been happening for 10 years.
Since pretty much the start, really, to be honest.
Right? Yeah. Whereas F1, independent content creation and that building of communities and social media is only really happening now. And that's the stuff that, along with, the marketing and everything, is driving people to races, because they want to feel the stuff that they listen to every day and they watch every day. They want to go and they want to experience it. And Formula One's only going to go up. So 17 billion now. Imagine what that's potentially going to be.
And maybe that's why the FIA are trying to kind of flex their muscles and take control, because they want to be top of that pyramid. If the sport 3 X's in the next 10 years.
Well, because we were obviously talking about when we were mentioning super license points and stuff, and how the FIA are so protective over their own series. Imagine if the F1 would, if the F1 brigade were just like, we're just doing a Super League, lads. We are going to do the Super Mega Motorsport World Championships. Get me? And
I mean, I'd watch it.
I would watch it, man. There's at least 7 Grand Prix in America.
The thing is, unlike the Super League, because that was taking, football institutions, clubs that are parts of their community, and pushing the commercial stuff to a whole new level.
Yeah,
these are Formula One teams. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not attached to any of these teams. Like,
you
they're
don't
just
have
money-making enterprises.
Exactly, and there's not that geographical connection as well.
I'm here for motorsport first and foremost.
The problem with the Super League aspect was you were going to get games between like PSG and Arsenal happening in Qatar.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But the reality is, the races would probably be, somewhat different. There'd be some tracks where, they wouldn't be able, but whatever. The teams don't have that geographical connection, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what governing body they run under. So that's less of a problem.
And that's the thing, right? It's at the moment it's a marriage of convenience at the moment,
Absolutely.
isn't it? But it is becoming increasingly inconvenient, and I think Liberty probably look at the FIA and the fumbles that the FIA do, whether it's with the stewarding or whether it's with the media or whatever, and it almost reflects badly on the product of F1 itself. So they're like, why don't we just control the whole product? And then if anything goes on, then at least we'll deal with it. But I just think I guess it'll be interesting to see. This isn't the last
absolutely
any
not.
of this. We're going to be here probably in a couple of, testing 100%. Starts in a few weeks. So we'll be here probably by the time testing starts. I'm sure at least 2 different things.
2 different things, two more stories.
Would have come out. So interesting nevertheless.